a quick question about charging itself as a technical issue.
Yeah.
Can you get a block of solar cells and a box on the wall so that you can plug the thing? Because I'm retired, I don't have to drive during the day. I can plug it in and get
Speak
it.
to your solar provider. Any solar providers here today?
The Zappy.
Yeah, the Zappy does it. The Zappy is a unit that will then be your charger in between and will look at your solar incoming and will actually tailor your charging input for that. That works. Talk to a solar provider. A couple of really good solar customers. I mean, we would both Lawrence and I would certainly recommend the guys at REA.
REA is another company.
REA is a big Tesla fan and second largest provider of Tesla batteries in Queensland. So there's plenty of opportunities out there, and there's some clever stuff to do that. So yes, REA solar. Bayside. Yes, I wanted to talk to you about a couple of other things that were kind of a little bit more important and specific to Model 3 rather than particularly around that. Maybe around. I'm going to do this one quickly because I think it's different for everybody. First one is insurance. So insurance is different for everybody. When everybody says how much you pay, it's going to be different. It depends on, you know, postcode, how high you are, what you look at, you know, how much you've crashed before, blah, blah, blah. I just wanted to provide you a bit of insight about a particular insurer that's out there that I've chosen to use. It's called UbiCar. They track you via a app, and then they change your, and every month your premium is modified by your driving behaviour, but the base premium is 2/3 the price of any other provider. It's underwritten and backed by RAC WA, so basically the RACQ for WA, and that company is the provider of it. And I've been going, so instead of $1,200 or $1,300 a year for me, it's $800. Just wanted to put that one out there.
For what?
For insurance.
No, for what car?
For a Model 3, but it doesn't really matter after that because
Performance?
everything else is different. No, it's an SR+.
Oh.
What I'm saying is there is a provider out there that if you are happy to be tracked, you will probably save about 1/3 of your insurance costs.
What's the money? What's the tracking going towards? Is it for positive?
Well, if you do speeding or cornering, hard braking, things like this, so
Use your phone.
they give you a score.
You get a penalty.
Yeah.
You get a score. You get the lowest you'll possibly pay, the highest you'll possibly pay, and your score will then calibrate that in between. It's really good because the highest you'll possibly pay, you can go out and drive it like a loon, and it will still be 2/3 cheaper than what you're paying for.
So you still get a Tesla Smile?
Yeah.
Of course.
Have you heard about the Tesla insurance? How long before it comes to Australia?
Well,
A long way off. Don't expect it to be here anytime soon.
Grossly overpriced. My premium went up in 1 year 300%.
The different ones. So QBE, the QBE Tesla
Yeah.
provided, that's different to what the gentleman's talking about, which is the available in California and so on. When it comes, it comes.
Yeah. But so did you hear?
Personal mobile, they can't actually track the car itself.
Correct. And so every single trip you do, if I take a train or if I go and take an Uber, I have to then manage those trips. I have to say, oh, I was a passenger in that one, that was a train. So you do have to little bit of weeding, I think you'd call it. But for me, I do it. It's worth it. So that was insurance done because we're both on the same. Aren't we?
Yes, we are. Yeah.
Next one I was going to talk about was accessories. There's lots of them out there, plenty to go at. I've done a few things to my car. I've taken the aeros off because I don't like them, and I bought $21 caps and kit from China. Yeah,
The
cheap.
Aeros are the
So you can see 98 ZDB, that's the aero hubcap. Mine's the 000, no hubcap. You take that hubcap off, and underneath it's the wheel with the V shapes, and then what you need to do is get a kit. You can buy it from Tesla at $70. You can buy it online 20, 30, $40, and you end up with a T in the middle. I noticed somebody else has done this as well. They've got a black T, so there's lots of different colours that can go as the middle round.
Dave's got
that
the
goes in
red.
middle.
Dave's got
There
the
you go.
red T
Dave's
and
got
the red
so
and
nice.
red
That
covers.
looks really good. It's an option out there. It's about 3 or 4% extra energy required to do whatever in my car than it would be in the one with the aero. So
Looks
there is a loss. It's been measured in the US 3 or 4%. So that's that one.
Dave's got a video on that too, by the way.
Great. What else we got? Carpets. I'd say just go and buy the Tesla ones. They're $125 for carpets inside the car, and they're great.
or rubber.
You can get rubber ones as well. They're more expensive.
I've got the rubber, so you can get in with wet shoes. Who cares? Take it out.
And
So-
that's from Tesla, you're saying?
Tesla's
Tesla.
if they've got the product, if it's available from them, it's the best. It's a great price, they don't rip you off, and they're great quality. If you can't get it from them because they don't do it, whatever that thing might be, like tow bar, I'll talk about that in a second, then you can go shopping and try and find what it is. But if you can buy the product from Tesla, I would suggest buy it from Tesla. It's best quality and it's best value for money, it's cheap.
I bought mats from China that weren't particularly good quality. But fortunately, they gave us the money back.
Right.
And we kept the mats.
Whereas you know when you walk into Tesla, you're going to get a set of mats, they're going to fit, they're going to be good, they're not going to wear out. Everybody around the world's got them.
And they're right-hand drive, left-hand drive.
Yeah,
specific.
yeah, that's what you're going
Good
to
cut.
do. That's what these, I think they had.
Are they different to the?
I
Are
know
they
you
the
can
mats
order
different to
them
the ones you get in your
US store. Do they work on the Australian
Uh,
cars?
same one?
The rubber mats are not performance, they're just for your car body style. I've got them. They're for your front trunk, your rear trunk, underneath your rear trunk.
But when you bought the performance, we got mats in ours.
You did early on, you don't anymore.
They're carbon.
But they're different to the ones.
This is sits on top of the
Black wheels, wouldn't have got them.
and they put little grommets in so they don't fall underneath the driving pedals, and they're fabulous.
Had an accessory question over here about the key fob. To my understanding at this point, you can't buy a Model 3 key fob for Australia yet. So you've still got your credit card thingy that you can use, obviously your phone.
These, you haven't seen one?
But the Model S style key fob, that's not available in Australia yet, to my knowledge of about 4 weeks ago. But if you want one, let them know and let Darren know at Tesla Service or someone like that, and he'll know that there's a demand for it and keep an ear out. And when it comes available, stay close to the Tesla Owners Club people and we'll all know about it within about the same period of time, and then we'll just, you know, let the world know. I understand them to be about $150 or something like that. They'll be.
US.
Yeah, maybe 200 Australian there.
What if you import a US one?
They will be on a different frequency. So there's 2 frequencies around the world for key fobs, and America is one, and China, Australia, and Europe are the other. 433. So separate.
What about the door openings?
Oh, to change the jacks.
No, just opening a garage and stuff. The
Oh yeah, you can do that now.
Yeah.
Call Tesla and get it fitted. You can do that now.
Yeah.
Another one that I've done. Another one that I've done on my car is the very cheap. The very cheap auto open. So you can see the little bright red springs.
Yeah.
I bought for again $25. Different gas struts that have already got the springs on them, and I've chosen to do that on the back. I've not done it on the front. You could do it on the front, again about $25. Just recently, there's an American company that's come out with an auto open, auto close function for both front end and back end.
Put your feet underneath the
Put
back
your
of the
feet
boot.
underneath, the whole sort of Audi special. $400 or $500 for something like that. Not too hard to.
Lots of work.
Maybe.
The wilderness harness is insane.
Right.
You
Okay.
get the cables in there.
Right. So, and a bit of work, right? So, depends how much you want that, how much that's a big deal to you. But I guess the point I wanted to come with accessories is, if you want something, there is now nearly 1 million Model 3s being built globally. Nearly 1 million. It's about 700,000-800,000 right now. With that as a marketplace, there's lots of people who have made stuff, and there's some clever people out there. So if you want something, Google it, you'll find it. So I guess that takes me to the tow bar. So I wanted a tow bar. Oh yeah. 30 seconds or less, 10 seconds. All you need is a screwdriver, a flathead screwdriver, and about 30 seconds of your life. And just make sure you don't drop the boot on you when you've only got one strut. It hurts.
Sounds like the first of experience. And you watch you don't chip the bottom of the glass. A couple of people on YouTube have done that.
Oh yeah, it's because they don't know how to fit stuff to cars, I guess. So there's some challenge. I'm an old auto electrician. I can fix cars. So that probably takes me to doing the tow bar, because I've decided that I would find a tow bar. There are 2 in the marketplace. They're both from America. One is called the Stealth Bar and one is called the Torque Lift Bar. The Torque Lift Bar, which I've fitted to my car, is the cheap one. It's about $400 US. The Stealth Bar, which Luke has fitted, and talking to a gentleman I was been helping with in Sydney today, is fitting right now. That's a more expensive one. It's about $550. And the difference between the cheap one and the expensive one is the way that the neck goes up, the little box section goes up underneath. Mine I have to bolt on. The other one is more of a it's an auto fit. It's like some of the modern European vehicles have like an auto fit clip with a little pin type arrangement and then a lock type arrangement, that sort of thing.
same as the setup for the Model X?
It's similar. It's not the same. It's similar to the setup for the Model X in the more expensive stealth bar.
And what rating does the Model 3 have?
The Model 3 is certified in Australia for 750 kilos unbraked and 910 braked. Okay, so I would never do more than 750, and so that's the arrangement there. It took me about 3 hours to fit. I imported it from buying the product from the end user, shipping it to a company called MyUS, which is an intermediary, having them then ship it to me to Australia. I did a lot of research on who that company would be, and it ended up being that these guys were about half the price of everybody else. So it was really good. So if you want to ship anything like that, MyUS.
And $200 shipping roughly?
No, probably the same again. So I had it landed here for $1,100 Australian.
GST and that big bulky heavy.
No GST.
Yeah, no GST.
No GST.
Because of my USA.
So would you say it's a reasonably straightforward, if you're reasonably confident you could do it?
Yeah, absolutely. The gentleman who's fitting it in Sydney today is a PhD in linguistics, and he and his son, who's a house electrician, are fitting it, and I'm pretty comfortable. Lots of videos online about how to do it. Lots of bits and pieces. Happy to give you a few tips and tricks on that one. Not that hard. It's just a bunch of bolts.
The question I have, I've got a Model X and it's got that thing that locks up and underneath. Now, that square fitting that's on your vehicle, can I get one of them anywhere in lieu of?
I'm not sure. You'll have to Google that one. If possibly is the
I've tried and I
case.
can't find anything.
So possibly not. It's because the pin that's going in is the proprietary bit. That's like pretty special, and that would need to be, somebody else would need to make one of those to make that
So if you
work.
could machine up something that would go in there and have it bolted
Possibly,
properly.
but I wouldn't want to do it because I wouldn't trust it to carry mass. So I just use the gooseneck as it stands today.
Is that compatible?
Are there any warranty implications with using
Yes, that's the next bit I want to talk about. So I decided to buy it, I decided to fit it, I decided to do it. It took me about 3 hours with my 8-year-old son, and I'm an auto electrician and vehicle engineer, so I'm kind of a bit ahead of the game when it comes to doing this sort of stuff. I guess the next part is the warranty. So the reason I haven't opened Nathan's TeslaTowbars.com is because I see there's some potential liability engaged in putting this on. I have chosen to do it to my car. If I have a problem with my car and Tesla, then I'll deal with that. I guess the challenges are if you overmass the tow bar and you damage the bodywork, well, that's your problem, right? If I've done some work to try not to have a corrosion occur, and offline I'll tell you what that looks like if you're interested, but if it rusts because I've put that in, it's on me, it's my problem, okay? Towing mode, lots of people ask a question about towing mode. No, the car does not have towing mode. Australian cars aren't available with towing mode yet. Towing mode turns off autopilot, auto steer, turns off the rear sensors, and it probably a couple of little other things that I'm not 100% aware of. I have not got towing mode on my car. I get little sensors when I'm towing something. I get little sensors showing up in the grey level, so they're like the first level. Doesn't interfere with the vehicle at all. I have used auto steer whilst towing for the heck of it, and it's fine. But what auto steer hasn't got is any kind of way to deal with a swaying trailer. It's not been designed, trimmed, or tuned to have a swaying trailer involved. So if you get a swaying trailer, you're on your own. Again, it's my choice. I've chosen to do it. So I guess with that sort of accessory, it comes down to, are you willing to take the responsibility for fitting a thing to your car? I think the only other thing that goes to that is, when is Tesla going to bring theirs out? No idea.
Well, the Model Y is coming out with a tow bar.
The European Model 3, you can choose it straight from the factory, right? So, but only from the factory. You can't buy, otherwise I would have bought this, a Tesla tow bar from England and fitted that one instead of buying an American aftermarket one. So when are Tesla going to bring it to Australia? They say, probably within the next 12 months. I say, good luck, we'll see. And so I've chosen to take my own path. Maybe in the future I'll decide to throw that lump of metal away and put it on a Tesla one and right the wrongs and get back to a warranty position. But
Is that compatible with the Hayman race?
yeah, so the tongue, I chose not to buy a bunch of stuff from the Americans, just as limited as possible. So what you see is what you get there. I then had an old 2-inch that went into a Heyman Reese that I bought. It's a Repco part actually, because it's got bolts that you can change the height of the tongue. Just use that. So,
roof racks.
I haven't got roof racks. I'm not a roof rack guy. Luke's got roof racks. Buy the Tesla ones. Don't buy any of the other ones. That would be the only thing I've seen online and had understandings of. The Tesla ones are good. They fit well. They attach right. They've been engineered by Tesla. Whereas others have cracked windscreen, cracked roofs, damaged, scratched.
And also remember, if you're driving around in a car with a roof rack on it, you're not using it. You are using it
So much. 10%. 10% plus. 10% plus.
And there's more insurance claims with bikes on roof racks than any other thing, because people forget they're in and drive into the garage.
Old model S or X motors on here, you can actually have your car changed over to take CCS2. You go to Tesla, you can't just get an adapter, you go to a Tesla and they put your annual service, put some wiring in the car, and you get the adapter that comes with a new Raven Model S or X, and then you've got CCS2 like any Model 3 does. You'll still be reduced to the same power. We've got 120 odd kilowatts, which renders to an extent your chatter mode useless.
Can I just ask a follow-up question for you?
Yeah.
Annual service, when I picked up my 3,
Yeah.
young Casey was wonderful and said, oh no, there's no servicing.
Well, when I bought mine, you could buy 4 years servicing in advance. It was fairly expensive. At the 4-year point, they take the fluid out of your battery cooling system.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they change windscreen wipers, put batteries in your key fob.
In your key fob, and we don't have a key fob, so you don't need one. So let me give you my take. When I was at Tesla running the store, in about I reckon September of that year, so 2017, they changed to no longer having a servicing schedule. That remains the same, and in fact, my colleague had some parts replaced on his car under warranty at his house in Sanford, and asked Chris, the senior tech at Tesla Brisbane, what's the deal? And he said there is no servicing. There are 2 things that you might want to do each 2 years. One is change the brake fluid, and the other one is change the cabin fluid. And that's about the size of it. And there is no other servicing required. I would personally suggest a yearly wheel alignment for tyre life. Rotation maybe.
I've got a question. A good friend of mine runs the Bob Jane in Aspley, and is there any particular reason why they can't fit new tyres into a wheel alignment, or do you want to take it to Tesla?
I use jacks.
Yeah, so there's a couple of Jacks guys that are very good. First thing is you need the adapters for lifting. So there's a little adapter pad that goes into the little slot that means that when Owen gets his jack in there, it doesn't go straight through your battery pack.
I know there's this special point you've got to jack it.
Correct, and there's also special adapters you need. That's the other side. So there's 2 parts to it.
If I could just add one thing to that, I had an S that we used Bob Jane, and they broke one of the pressure sensors, and it was about $250 to fix with Tesla. So they had some issues.
Yeah, so the Jacks guys are a really good alternative to Tesla. Tesla tyres are expensive, but Tesla wheel alignments aren't.
Yeah.
Probably the best way I would put that.
I changed my tyres there, but I can't get them aligned with the services.
Yep.
Can I just bring a point? A friend of mine owns a Bob Jane T-Mart, and they had a actual seminar on Tesla tyres and Volvo tyres.
Great.
And a lot of people are under the impression that the normal tyre that you've got on your car that hasn't got TO on it is the same as a Tesla tyre. It's not. So
Every manufacturer does that this day.
Yes, they are actually. The compound is made for that car.
Yeah. And it's
so
also got the foam inside, which others don't have as well.
But the main thing is that the compound is actually for that car. If you use it a non-Tesla TO tyre, you're in real trouble.
Well, you'll win the middle out of it because it's designed to take 42 psi, whereas most of the others are designed for 30, 35. I think there was the other accessory. So did you have an accessory that you wanted to touch on, Annie?
Well, I'm not good in talking to people actually. I usually talk to a camera. I've got a YouTube channel called Unplugged EV. I do a lot of technical testing called Scan My Tesla, and it shows me all the live data, what's going on inside the car, where the energy, from where it comes, where it goes. So I can see all this one, and I put this all on my channel up. So if you're into these kind of things, technical stuff, I've got some cards here, I can give them later to you. I've got only one upgrade apart from the Scan My Tesla adapter, which is the little spring in front of the front, which makes the closing power very low. So you can replace the spring, it costs $1.80 on Bunnings, replace this little spring, and you have no force to close the frunk anymore. That's my only upgrade so far.
I know what I'm doing this afternoon. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Yes, sir. Spare tyres. When was the last time you had a flat tyre? Has anybody had a Tesla experience with a flat tyre yet? Please. Tell us
Yeah,
about it.
so well, actually, it wasn't me. I was driving back from Sydney with Clint,
Yep.
and we stopped at the Coffs Harbour supercharger, and we were just sort of looking. The two cars were side by side. We looked at both cars, saw that his actually two of his tyres were actually worn through.
Oh.
So we actually rang Tesla straight away. It was 5 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. We thought, oh shit, I'm gonna have to drive him back to Brisbane, which is fine. I was just driving by myself, and there was just two in his car, and so so I waited around with him. About an hour later, someone turned up, swapped the two tyres over, put the spare ones in the back, and we continued driving back to Brisbane.
Yep.
So that's it.
Tesla has donor wheels, donor tyres, dotted all up and down the coast, particularly aligned to superchargers, basically, and will give you, and will bring you one out. I believe that there's been a change recently too, that it needs to be within 80 kilometres of a service centre, but I'm not 100% sure around that, because how does that work with Coffs Harbour, right? But I know that when I was there, that they were contracting local tyre guys who had the ability, had a truck, had mobile guns and bits and pieces, knew what they were doing. They'd send them a bunch of wheels. So whether it was SNX, they were 4 types of wheels, big and small SNX, big and small X, big and small S.
He had 21 inches.
Yeah, exactly. And donor wheels for that. And they bring the donor wheel out, and then 3 days later, you get $2 off the price. You've got to fix it.
Did they charge you?
No,
Zero. Whilst the vehicle's under warranty, it's still covered by that. So that's my spare tyre solution. You can get some good goo, like goo kits. Tesla do a goo kit. Other folks do a goo kit, which will put it in. Probably take care of 70% of tyre failures. But if you've had a knife slash type, large gash, yeah, or 2 guidelines, you're stuffed. So just be aware of that. That's spares.
And those goo kits are what, $50 or something?
Yeah, 100 I think.
Get them from the auto shops. Bear in mind, there's been Model 3 owners who've gone around Australia in both directions. We've already had that. No, but what you buy another tyre.
Yeah.
And just put it in the boot.
Yeah, put it in the boot.
Go to Tesla,
Next
you
one.
can
Go to Tesla.
buy, you can go and
Yeah. If you want to buy anything that is available from Tesla, buy it from Tesla. Don't worry about anybody
It just
else's.
saves time. Just
Yeah.
save time. You're still the Tesla will take time. You're in the middle of wooding. That's why you have to.
Maybe. Guys, there was one other thing I wanted to cover off on, which was a Sentry stick. I think a number of people have had some challenges with this one. We'll be talking about it. I have chosen to get the Sandisk Connect wireless stick. It's its own little Wi-Fi module. It's got enough size. I don't know how big it is. Big enough. You don't need a big stick for. It's like it might be 500 or whatever, 250, 500. You don't need a big stick for your Tesla Sentry, because it only uses, I think it's either 32 or 64. It only uses a little amount. And then it just keeps on overriding. The bonus with this one is there's an app, particularly for Apple, I think only, I'm not sure, called Sentry View, which what it does is it then allows me, by pressing the little button on the side, which is the go button, it's got a small battery inside, it's now become a Wi-Fi device. And then what it's trying to do now is connect to my phone, and before long, it'll happen. It will then talk to the app, and just boot it up again. It'll talk to the app, and I'll be able to review all of the videos that are on this from here. So you do have to pull it out of the car to review the videos for it to go into Wi-Fi mode, but you can do that whilst you're sitting in your car before in the next drive you're doing, or whatever that might be. So I don't know if you can kind of see there's now a number of videos, and they're all aligned because there's 4 videos reverse, the two side rear facings, and from the side repeaters, and the front one. And so they will then now play for me. If I just start to play them, I will then be able to watch that video of Sentry or webcam.
Is that the company?
Oh, just one over here, just quickly.
Is that available for the Model X?
Is it the same on Model X? Model X and S owners? Pretty sure it is.
Unless you've got a Raven Model S or Model X, Sentry is independently to California being recorded, we're told.
But you can still put a stick in and you can't.
You can't, not enough.
I thought it was on
hardware 2, you can't.
hardware 2.5 onwards?
2.5.
2.5 onwards, which is not Raven, that's way earlier than that. It's like 2017 cars, mid-2017 cars.
Yeah, I've used a company, Tesla.com. In the States, they're very good. They supply that already formatted fat.
Oh, right, okay. I bought it from Amazon. I went to my work computer. I followed a web video online and made it the right file type and the right file structure, and then stuck it in the car and worked. There was a software where all sticks were being told to be slow, and there was a problem with them, but that was a particular software. But since then, I believe it to be fixed. It's not playing up anymore.
What brand is that again?
This one is a Sandisk.
What's a Sandisk?
Connect wireless stick that I bought from Amazon. It's $70.
If you download the app,
$70, $80, that sort of number.
one that you need to.
Everybody.
You can tell it how long you think you're going to be there. So if you plan to be there for an hour, say you're going to be there for an hour, that means that the next person knows that you're due to leave or you're expected to leave. It can even communicate. To a degree.
One thing I'd like to ask, if you were talking to governments, the lack of penalties for parking in an EV charging space. I had someone using my car and they had 5% power left and they were going into Toombul to use and every one of the spots was occupied by there's a Corolla and a Ute and so they had to drive away. They just made it to the Tesla store with like 2%.
So, a couple of things there. It depends on what the jurisdiction is of the spot. So, Toombul Centre Management, you need to talk to about that, say particularly. If anybody's seen is it Ice Holes? I think it is the name of the group on Facebook. It's hilarious, a lot of fun. There's a lot of different people using different templates for writing letters, dealing with this sort of stuff. The reality is, electric vehicles are so quick to market for the government that they've not been able to deal with this. There is a bit of work which I've been party to and been working on about trying to get them to standardise signage, standardise colouring, standardise messaging for charging, and also penalties across all of the states. Unfortunately, Australia has states in between federal and local government, and it just extends the time for everything. But it's in the mix. It's in the mix. Go to the local authority. Many councils will do something about it, but the state government won't, say, for instance.
I can just add something there. I'm looking for the photograph of it because twice at Toombul I've been to the destination charger and there's a Kia Sportage 2019 model that parks serially there and at Chermside. Never actually come across the person, but in Toombul's case they said, we can't do anything, we won't do anything, we won't call them, we won't make a PA, look, passenger, person so-and-so, move your car, you're blocking a spot. But in Chermside said, okay, what we'll do is, because Chermside you've got to pay to go in and go out of the car park, they put a lock on that particular registration if you tell them. And when they go out thinking they've gone inside 3 hours, the lights stop, go back, and they get completely stuffed around to make it awkward for them.
Okay.
And I did that at Chermside with this person who stuffed me around 3 times.
Yeah, you've got to make it inconvenient.
And unfortunately, if you put something on their car, all those places are videoed. They're all videoed. So you can't do anything and think no one's watching. They are. And in the case of Chermside, it's right over in the pink area. Right behind you, there is a black door. Well, if you happen to open up that black door, there's a bank of computer stations with guys monitoring the car park, video cameras.
So does Chermside actually have electric vehicle charging?
Yes, they do.
But for Teslas, because
No, you need to have charge point. And it's type 1, which will give you 32 kilometres per hour.
But you also need to have an adapter between type 1 and
J1772 adapter.
And sorry, how much is that adapter? About 150, roughly?
I think it's more than that.
Yeah, it's about 200.
They're probably not worth getting because
I wouldn't bother.
That's going out of business.
It's going to go out of business. So ChargePoint's one of the biggest providers of charging in the US. they have decided to leave Australia. At this point in time, it's a bit of a no man's land. Somebody else will snap up those sites. They'll have to retrofit them because the boxes are slow, useless, and Type 1. But that'll come in time. I guess the other thing for charging, yeah, there you go. I guess the other thing for charging is there are a number of players in Australia that are providing charging operations. One of them would be ChargeFox. ChargeFox is probably the biggest now by site. They're taking care of the management of a lot of, if you like, state or municipal council run charging systems, so that they can then, deal with the breakages, deal with billing for those guys and whatever else. So they've really made a good leap at that, and they're very good. They're a Victorian-based company, and they're doing a really good job. There's also EV Networks, which we've started to see. They're Queensland-based, and they are starting to grow their network with the first one at Coochie Creek, and more to come very soon. All fast chargers.
Which Model 3s can use?
Yeah, which Model 3s can use straight up. Boom, just go straight into the CCS2.
I've got another question. The Coochie Creek one, even though after stopping here, it doesn't appear on my Tesla. It just doesn't seem to recognise it.
Not in the car, but it will on plug share.
Sorry?
Not in the car on the screen, on your nav screen, but it will on plug share on your mobile phone.
So this is an interesting.
Okay, so not on the car, rightio. Okay.
So this is an interesting point, I guess, when it comes to what we call interoperability. I'm doing a whole piece on that right now for the Queensland State Government. When you plug your car in at a Tesla supercharger, it instantly talks to the car, instantly works out who you are, how much you're using, and bills you, right? So with all of these other providers, you have to download an app or get a card and put your credit card into it and have a conversation with them and start an individual engagement with each of these provider companies. Yeah, set up an account, set up a billing platform, a credit card, and whatever else. And those things, it's just the way it is, right? In Australia, we're probably only going to get 2 or 3 companies that are actually going to do this. Europe has got 15 companies that are doing this, and America's got another 15 companies, separate companies doing this. In those markets where EV uptake is greater, they have started to mandate that all of those companies speak in the same language, and maybe even have an aggregator in between them, so all the companies get their money through an aggregation company, that all of the chargers are then going to link through that one, and you only need one provider rather than 15.
So why aren't we working on that model? Why aren't we?
Because we're a million miles away from that.
But that's the time to start.
We are such a small market. Even America treats us with contempt.
We'll always be a small market.
Yeah.
We're a 60th the size of the US. We're 60th the size of the US when it comes to the automotive market. So it's not likely to be a deal, not likely to change. Government we're a non-interventionist government in Australia generally, both at state and federal level, so it's not going to change. The providers are all said that they're working on this together. They're going to do this together. So we'll believe them to do that and watch this space. And all we can do then is put pressure on those providers to say,
Queensland,
hey
they have
guys,
inquiry.
you need to talk to each other. Can we have one account that cross bills? But I run on Vodafone and somebody else runs on Telstra. It's the same gig, right?
Yeah, but we can still use charge to network if I'm on Virgin or something like that.
Not if I'm on Vodafone, I can't.
It's on Virgin.
Yeah, but I've chosen to be with Vodafone, so then I'm stuck. It's a private model situation, and I don't think that there is going to be any change in Australia for that. But pressure from users.
It seems to be a waste of money for starters.
What is?
Not having a centralised, a single sort of like.
It's actually a waste of money going the other way, to be honest. The administration for having a middle player, and it wasn't an argument I was necessarily going to get into today, but we'll do it. To have a centralised player deal with that, or have other rules like they've done in Europe, or the US, where they've said every single charging pole must now have a credit card reader on front of it. They're actually taking them out of the ground and throwing them away because it costs more to put a credit card reader on the front of the charger than it does to keep the charger going. So it actually, unintended consequences come about.
Hang on, we can't hear. Too much going on. Can we have just one conversation?
The RACQ and NRMA are doing a good job with doing that.
Yeah.
And
They're actually separate. So the NRMA membership and the RACQ membership don't work together.
No. That's right.
So they're actually doing the opposite of that.
But they are putting out chargers, and anybody that's got a Model 3 have got a CCS charger, so they've got all the supercharging network plus all the other network, which is a double whammy for Tesla owners, obviously.
Absolutely excellent.
Yeah.
And it just means you're going to need to download 3, 4, maybe 5 apps, as much as 4 or 5 apps, to then be able to access each of
I
those.
don't mind that. It's just a standardisation and try to sort of like work in a sort of like a.
So
we're a force of people who are basically wanting to have for uptake of EVs, yeah, and that's where that's the same sort of should be the same attitude of those people who are actually providing those services, and that's where legislation comes in. I used to work for TIO, so you have to belong to the TIO if you're a Telstra, if you're a Vodafone, if you're any provider, and why aren't the government and the TIO is not government.
No,
So,
it's
and that's the
big body.
same. That's exactly the same philosophy that EV should be following. In other words, there is an ombudsman that actually looks after this and also tries to negotiate on behalf of both the consumer and the actual provider.
That may come about when there's a reasonable uptake of EVs, where there's the need for an ombudsman.
That's what I'm saying. Government
In the
should get
meantime,
involved.
you've got groups like the EV Council. You could quite happily write to the EV Council and put your thoughts forward. Each one of the major providers of charging equipment is a member of the EV Council as well. So they're a lobbyist to lobby government about EVs, but there's no reason why we can't lobby them about doing what they're doing.
But the government don't want to know. They don't want to know. It's us as a group needs to get the word out. I don't know if you know my son David and my granddaughter Sienna and Mitchell. Show yourselves. Right. Well, they started Tesla Down Under as a YouTube channel only because so many people, our family included, friends, know nothing about electric cars. So he's doing small little videos, and anybody that's not sure about
Education's the
something,
most important part.
yeah, and you need to get that word out, and other ones like this platform, and that's where the governments are going to start to listen when there's enough people following these platforms and getting the word out.
When there's enough critical mass of people wanting to go this way, and there's lots of different bits and pieces that are markers for that, whether it be the platform stuff or you know, Morgan Gallup polls, or people voting for different political parties,
Or joining Toka Queensland.
or joining Turco, or joining EVA, or getting involved in these sorts of things. That's where that'll come about. And I think it's important that we all recognise that we're all pointing in the same direction. We're all trying to do the same thing, and then if we point in the right direction and do that strategically, we'll probably make quite an impact.
Have you got a club banner yet?
We're working on one. There's one you can't probably see on Lawrence's t-shirt.
Yeah.
You see, Toka, if you're not aware, Toka is an Australia-wide organisation. Started in Sydney and Melbourne initially, because that's where the first cars went. And over time, you paid to join Toka. They organised events like this, but they're all down in Sydney and Melbourne.
Yeah.
That's why we started last year Telco Queensland, so we can do this here.
No, but what I'm saying is, if you've got a banner on our car club, we put a banner up, and anybody, because they see the minis and suddenly everybody's got a mini story. Well, soon everybody's going to have a Tesla story. So it's when you see it, it gets in their mind, and then this is what we need to do: is need to get the name out and the mission.
Sure.
Right, the question I have is about 3 months ago I got a letter from the Australian Bureau of Statistics, and they said, we have selected you and your Tesla, and we want you to keep a daily logbook of everything you do and where you drive and what you do.
Excellent.
At first I thought it was a hoax,
called
and
the
it turned out
SMVU.
it wasn't, and they got very upset when I
Survey of
accused
motor
them of a
vehicle
hoax.
usage. I use it every single day at work. I use the data that comes from your car to make policy decisions for government.
Right, that's fair enough.
Really
I better be truthful. Anybody else that collected one of them.
There's also potentially coming a professor at Griffith University, a lady, is trying to lobby, I think it's the state government in this case, but basically federal government, because they're, as you may or may not know, they're trying to say we're getting away with using the roads for free. Because we don't pay the GST or the fuel excise on every litre of fuel, which at the moment is 55 cents all up for a petrol car. So as a case of greed, I think more than anything else, and loss of revenue, they're worried about us taking over the world and not getting their money from the fuel tax. So what they've suggested in Victoria is 4 cents a kilometre road tax charge. Now, 4 cents a kilometre, well, good luck with that. How are you going to actually work out how many Ks my car's doing? I'm not going to tell you, firstly. And secondly, that 4 cents is their equivalent of 55 cents a litre of fuel usage.
You know how they do it?
55 cents a litre is not all going on roads.
No, of course it's not.
Not all going on roads.
You know how they do it with the 4 cents? They'll put a compulsory 12 months rego check, and when you do the rego check, there'll be the mileage, and then you'll be billed the mileage.
There's ways of doing it.
Victoria is
There's ways
apparently
to do it.
doing it, Nathan, apparently, and New South Wales is watching like a hawk because they want to get some money as well.
And that's why-
Queensland is sitting on the fence.
That's why New Zealand, they disconnect their speedos in New Zealand because they get charged the same thing
Correct.
for mileage.
So there's a road user charge RUC in New Zealand, which all diesel vehicles have to pay.
Yeah.
That's a way to do it. I know that Queensland is actually not that interested in doing that at this stage, and they're somewhere behind the concept. The best thing that we can do is support people who are making
Well,
those
this,
sorts
this
of...
lady may well come out to all of us, if you're members of TOCA, and say, are you prepared to be involved in a survey?
Yeah.
And the basic survey, Nathan, is Energy Queensland, the electrical provider, doesn't know where your car is located when you park it at night, and doesn't know how you charge and where you charge.
Yeah.
And the problem they're finding is the grid. The grid was designed to take from a coal power station, push it through wires, and then you use it in your home. It was never designed to take solar on top of your roof and push it against the flow.
Yeah.
So they're trying to work out where you are and where you charge, and for privacy reasons, they can't work out what your address is. So this survey will come out. I'd suggest if it does, you do get involved. And what they're also thinking of doing is, you know that there's Tariff 11, Tariff 31 and Tariff 33. Tariff 31 is the lowest, that's 8 hours at night for your hot water system, those of you who still have it. Tariff 33 is 18 hours a day on a slightly higher rate that they can control, and at the moment that's what people's pools are on. And you're not allowed to have a car charger on it. Well, Energy Queensland, I'll tell you now, is looking at allowing you to have energy. Use your meter wired to your wall charger at Tariff 33. So now they can control where the power is being used. And then Tariff 11, which is full whack.
You're absolutely right. The bit with Energy Queensland particularly, and I know the guys like Rob Wilson, trying to work out how they deal with this, how they control it, how they work out where everything is, because it's what's your street like, then what's your suburb like, then what's the whole of Brisbane or South East Queensland like. They are all impacts to their grid. It's all important. You can beat all that right now and just go to Power Shop and do the electric vehicle tariff, which I'm on, and it's great. And I'm basically saving a fortune. But that requires a little bit of thinking, and you've got to know when you're doing your usage and all that sort of stuff. But there are ways to get around even cheaper energy costs.
Also, if you're living in a unit, you may not be able to.
Yeah, I think ultimately being engaged with helping, so I'm a researcher, I'm a consultant, it's the same sort of stuff that these guys are doing, getting data, proper data, to help make sensible policy decisions, whether it's supporting the SMVU for the ABS or whether it's a localised survey. It's only going to help us to tell the real story rather than we think it's this story, and there's a lot of anecdotes that are being used by a lot of people that isn't linked to reality. Oh, we need more charges. We need more charges up and down the coast. No, we don't. There's enough. There's going to be enough. Enough money has been spent, in my personal opinion, on charges to get it going. It's done. No more charging. Spend your money on other things like education. Spend your money on other things like,
Giving some kickbacks for buying electric
supporting
cars.
the purchase of electric vehicles.
Energy Australia may also give you a freebie, a kickback if you get involved in that survey.
Yeah.
Which may come.
So if we know about it, we'll
A
let
free
you all know.
Cybertruck. That's what I heard.
It'll be money off your power bill, or it'll be something, but it'll be worthwhile because it's de-identified. It just says this is where a car is. And you've got to applaud Queensland's government. At least they're trying to get ahead of the game.
They are. They're a bit better than most.
Anyway.
I've got a friend that lives at the port side. You know the big units there. There's about three or four things, and they're having a problem at the moment. When they built their parking, they didn't have to think about electric cars, and they've got a few Tesla owners in the building. And I said to them, you want to get in and work with these people, because eventually what's going to happen is all the new buildings that's going to be built, they're going to have to do it. So I said, it's better to work with than fight against, because you might find the pushback's going to be worse than, So that's something that's actually happening right now, which is a good thing, because if those body corporates are working, and you might know if there's any law that they've brought in yet.
So the international, I guess the international body that says what should planning laws look like, this week made EV charging a mandatory a mandatory recommendation for future builds. So globally, highest level, that was this week. I know what's going on with all the states and all the local governments from the states. So the states have to set the law, the local government then has to obey the law, and then it has to be done. Too many levels of government. It's going to take some time. The best thing to do is to go from the bottom up and say, there's a Tesla owner here in Brisbane who owns it was an inner city dweller. He's got 2 Teslas and is an apartment dweller. He paid $4,500 to run a line from his meter box, which was up in his unit, down to his spot. It can be done. It just costs money and a bit of lobbying to your body corporate. But apartment dwelling in Australia is a small amount of our dwelling. We have off-street parking, we have garages. So anyway.
Have you heard the story about the Hoddle Street and Dockside in Melbourne?
No, but is it relevant for now?
Very relevant, because they've got all these big blocks of units, right, and they at the most could put 4 chargers per 150 home units.
Good stuff.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, what I think we'll find with that sort of stuff is there may be retrofit programs that come through, but there may also be, either shopping centres or other parking lots that will then end up being, fast charging parking lots for inner city dwellers to go and fill up.
Well, the problem with that has occurred, because that was already addressed in this thing. I've got a copy of the report at home. That was already addressed as this, and the feed that comes through Hoddle Street from one substation and the feed that comes from another substation collectively will not meet the demand for what exists. This is without any electric charges.
Same thing goes with Tesla putting in a new supercharger. They have to put in whole new transformers to support the grunt that's required for them. So they'll just have to up the grid. Back to the grid conversation. Not enough grid.
Just remember, we're 0.4%.
Yep.
The Australian car population.
Tiny.
0.4%.
And I think we're all here.
What do the Canadians say? A squeaky gate gets the oil. So the more noise we all collectively make, and the more people we bang on the doors, go to your local member.
Yep.
Why don't you provide some local charging for electric cars? It's coming.
Yeah.
So it's
but anyway, let's move along, guys.
Politicians can't think that fast.
Just one quick thing. What's your opinion on DC versus AC charging in terms of battery longevity? Is it a problem if you're using too much DC in the batteries?
Can be. Yeah. It's DC charging or any charging. It's all about heat management. It's all about thermal management. Poor thermal management is what kills batteries generally. Whether that's on the localist level of one cell and the bit that comes in the top, or the electrolyte in that one cell, right through to a whole entire pack. If you fast charge all the time, it's going to do some damage. But all I can say is go and Google Tesloop, which is a taxi service out of LA, who supercharge 4 times a day and have done 500,000 Ks on each of their Model S's and X's, and they've done a whole degradation chart. So that's one thing. Has anybody got Tesla Stats?
Yes, I have.
App.
Yeah.
You can see where your degradation on your car fits with the bell curve of the rest of the world.
I was about to ask if you have any recommendations of apps,
Yeah,
because I use Stats. I think it's great.
That's good.
I have for about 4,000 K now, and initially, there's like every time you do a charge, there's a dot that is plotted, and then there's the trend that shows. And initially, on the first 3,000, it was really going down. I thought, this was like a very quick depletion from what I heard. And recently, when I did not a full charge, but a higher charge, I think it's recalibrating when you are doing a higher charge. Then suddenly the dot went up higher, and I thought, okay, I'm not sure how I can monitor that. But
all you can say is you need more data points before you can get any real understanding. Go 6 months, go 12 months, and then have a look at it. But the reality is, and I've sold many JB's Tesla, I've sold loads of people Teslas, and had the conversation with folks about battery degradation 100,000 times. And the reality is that there are 500,000 kilometre vehicles in Amsterdam as taxis, the Tesloop guys and so on, and they've lost not more than 8% of their battery capacity over that period of time. There are Australian guys who have done 200,000, 400,000 Ks in their S's and X's. they've lost not more than 10% of their battery. So I just go, not an issue, put it on a shelf, move on.
So we should be confident.
I think we should be especially.
And your batteries as a Model 3 user are streets ahead.
Yeah.
And I heard that, I mean, mine was on late September, so probably the last model from the US, now they're coming from China. I understand the last model was about 3,000 miles.
They're not coming from China.
And the next one would be probably what, 1 million?
No, there's nothing coming from China that's coming to Australia. Yeah.
In China, made for
No Model
China.
3s.
And they've only made 1,000 of them. Like, it's so early, it's too early.
Can we